The early childhood is under individual worlds of surrounding him people.
В структуре подсознания другой диапазон взаимосвязей, потому что там уже многие
There is a special diapason of interrelations in the subconsciousness structure, because in this structure many karmic channels have the potential possibility for appearance. Nevertheless, you won't be able to appear through the first to the sixth karmic channels of Arglamuni and Inglimilisa.
шестой кармические каналы Аргламуни, Инглимелиса из уровня ваших будущих плазменных форм не захотите.
Basically, given the fact that you won't wish to appear there on levels of your future plasmic forms.
Уровень надсознания, в свою очередь, да, потенциально проницать.
In its turn, the supraconsciousness level penetrates potentially everything till the zero ingredient.
Фактически, вы, допустим, на уровне первого-второго центров.
However, you possessing this level won't be able to appear here on the levels of the first and second Iissiidiology karmic centers, which are the main means of your being now. Because your focus of interest or your life creativity will develop in totally different direction. And spheres of activity, which you are fond of now, will be non-existent to you simply. How you would call them? Highly spiritual or something else. But all these spheres will turn to experience for future you from those levels.
Итак, мы с вами выяснили, что личностное самосознание
So, we have sorted out that the personal self-consciousness is all that you see around and don't see around.
что вы видите вокруг себя. Это все то, что вы не видите вокруг себя.
But that is present and allows us to gain such experience anyhow.
Опыт существования в этой реальности.
The experience of existing in this reality.
Где-то творится, но когда мы выйдем отсюда,
For example, we are not aware of something that is happening somewhere right now. But when we would go out there, that something will affect our life.
свою роль
For example, any situation in any country will play its role in diplomatic relations between our countries. As a result of whether our diplomatic relations will get better or worse, we will observe the influence on our economics, our opportunities to reach another country, and so forth.
и так далее. Вот в каком плане то, что
This is the context in which something invisible to us affects us by being included in structure of our personal self-consciousness.
Потому что на самом деле все то, что мы не видим, на самом деле не видим, входит в структуру нашего подсознания. Все вот эти вот листочки, все
I mean, all these leaves, insects, which we do not observe, but may track always.
потом я, например, могу путем медитации, возвратившись в какой-то из моментов десятилетней давности или 50
For example, I can track in details what and where was lying, who was talking at the moment when I was just born and laid there, having been swaddled in a hospital.
что говорил в тот момент, когда я только появился на свет, лежал там спеленатый в роддоме, и нянечки о чем-то в этот момент говорили. Для меня это тогда не существовало.
To me, it was non-existent then, but now I can track it by means of refocusing through the temporal ethereal constituent and the variable ethereal component. Because the first one structures another one, it is impossible to enter the variable ethereal component on the levels of our current existence without activation of some levels of the temporal ethereal constituent. What is the temporal ethereal constituent? It is our forma copies. It is required to enter that swaddle baby who is lying there now, 56 years ago, through any of forma copies. I can track it all through my own pharmacopy, which I, that baby, received from my parents' DNA through a karmic channel having existed in self-consciousness of that baby Sergei Tsvelev.
канал, существующий в самосознании того младенца Сергея Свилева, который там сейчас спеленатый лежит, и вокруг которого
I can watch the life of either nurse who runs around this little baby, what is in her fridge at her home, or basically what happened in the world if a nurse had watched TV or had listened to news by the radio.
или вообще, что существует, если эта санитарка смотрела телевизор или еще что-то, хотя в 1954 году вряд ли это было, смотрела или слушала по радио вот как, какие-то новости. Я могу
I can track the present moment while lying there on diapers
сейчас, спустя
after 56 or 100 or 100,000 years.
50 лет. Понимаете? Это все что?
Have you caught it?
Подсознание.
All this represents subconsciousness.
Для меня эти
These nurses were non-existent to me in those forms, in which I am able to perceive them now.
я способен сейчас их воспринять. Для меня, для чего я сейчас
To me means to my personal self-consciousness.
не существовало. Но они находились в моем личном
However, the nurses were present in my personal self-consciousness because many things depended on them. Where they would lay me, where they would turn me, in what bed they would lay me, whether they would wipe my rear instantly or 2 minutes later as I would tinkle.
через 2 минуты, а это сыграет уже
All this might have played the role in my refocusings, where I would be in future. You see,
не воспринимая их, я тем не менее находился
although I didn't perceive them, I was locating in their individual worlds.
и
What I was focusing there depended on each of those nurses, on my parents' behavior, and on an energy having been created around me by them.
как поступали мои родители,
If moving from the hospital to my home, we can see that the dependence of my placement in scenarios is on facts.
ко мне домой. Ссорятся мои папа с мамой сейчас.
Whether my dad and mom quarrel at home while I'm sleeping,
Лежу и не сплю. Или не ссорятся. От этого зависит, в какой из
I am present in their individual worlds,
сценариев попадаю я. Потому что я нахожусь в
and I may only accept their activities.
И то, что творят они, я могу только лишь принимать.
I may decide only to be exactly in that scenario, in this or that state, or in 100,000 other states, having defined the situation around me.
Качеств, когда, повинуясь тому, что происходит вокруг меня. И если они ссорятся,
If they quarrel, so that fact refocuses me and them to those scenarios
сценарий, где я
where I have to develop myself on the basis of this information.
позиция вот такой информации. Если они не ссорятся, а наоборот,
If they don't quarrel, but on the contrary,
дружно беседуют о чем-то, находятся
talk friendly, being in high energies, so there is completely another me simultaneously with me,
я одновременно с тем, который
who refocus together with them from the quarrel situation.
А здесь я тот, который с нессорящимися. И вот судьба вашего ребенка, каким
Your child's fate, as well as your own, depends on which energies you are embracing your child at the moment.
вы в настоящий момент своего ребенка окутываете.
You are embracing him with your and his scenarios.
Он не может вместо вас
He cannot decide anything instead of you.
сказать свое
He
мнение,
cannot respond to the moment and express his opinion, his attitude to anything, because he has no opinion.
структурируется
Because at the present moment, it is your forms, conceptions, that are being structured in his self-consciousness step by step. Which forms are being structured? Those which you, dad and mom, are generating at the present moment. Everything you're generating starts to be structured to definite conceptions in your child's self-consciousness. Next thing you say, from who do such monsters, angry and cruel people grow up? Because it's just you who made them angry and cruel. You refocused them to such scenarios while you were considering them as kind of silly, comprehending nothing. You thought of them in that way just because they laid and didn't respond. You dragged them into your scenarios, not the best, the most favorable both for you and for others. And they focused in those scenarios where not that they didn't intend it to be, but where they had to be, because they had no choice. From time to time, when you plunged them into your negative energies, you were forcing them to focus in unfavorable scenarios, in the forma capis, which experienced themselves in that narrow diapason of quarrels, offenses, squabbles, fights, and so forth. This is the very important thing in Iissiidiology for psychology of parents-child relationships. And this thing will be examined by our psychologists thoroughly.